I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mentorship Monday with Michelle and Maren. And we would like to, first of all, say thank you so much to the new subscribers that are here. If you don't know who we are Michelle and this is Maren. And we come to you every Monday with Mentorship Monday. And we talk about everything spiritual. We talk about paranormal experiences. We talk about love. We talk about changes, spiritual support, and we talk about mediumship and all that goes with mediumship, which is just a great big caboodle of everything. So how you doing, Maren? Happy New Year to you. This is our first recording.
Happy New Year to you too. It feels good to be back. It feels so good to see your face again.
Yes,
And
it
share
does. It does. I missed you.
stories. I know I've
Yeah.
missed you too. Oh my goodness. I feel like
It's so weird having a break for a couple weeks. That was weird. It was weird because I was like,
It was
I felt
really
like I
weird.
was, yeah, I'm
I
missing
felt like I
something
was in
here.
like a time warp or something. Like the
Yeah.
days just seemed to like roll into the next, and I didn't know what day
Yeah.
was what, and it was a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. And I said a little bit about this to you before we came on camera, but this holiday season for myself was very eye-opening for me. Like I feel a lot of changes in my family, a lot of changes in me, and we had a lot of stuff happen, like just and not huge stuff, just like things like our furnace blew and our dishwasher quit. And like these are things that are fairly new. It was all happening all within a couple days. That started just before the holidays, and then we started to things just got really busy. Everybody had some kind of situation that they needed help with, like meaning my children, my own family. So it was like this continuous movement, always moving. Something's always going on. And what I really and I'm happy about it because, well, one, we made it through and we're here and we're okay. But two, I feel like I really had an opportunity to practice what I preach more than ever over this last little while. And it taught me a lot more about myself. I feel like I've opened up another part of myself, to really like more love for myself, because what I found was I was challenged at really being more compassionate with myself, with really looking at the expectations that I'm putting on me, and where I'm so much easier on other people, not being so easy on myself. And I could really see that. So I could really see where in the past,
Mhm.
where did these things come from? Where did I start doing these things? Where did I get these habits from? What habits have I passed on to my kids? Like just like a deeper understanding, but also the opportunity with some of these situations that may have created a lot of um, like chaos, like chaos in the family. And because we're dealing with so many different personalities and we had company here, and without getting into the whole story about what went on, it was just a great opportunity for me to really observe, for me to really stop and really look at how I'm feeling. What do I need? Where does my attention need to be? You know, um, so it was a good experience. Um, we're definitely in a better place. I mean, our furnace is working great, our dishwasher's working great, like everything's fixed, everything's great. But I feel stronger. I feel better, and I'm really ready to embrace this new year because I just feel like I've been gifted with this sense of energy that I was
Yeah.
really looking for, and I didn't know I was looking for it, but I feel gifted
Yeah.
with like a renewed sense of strength. So
Wow.
anyway, that's my little bit of how the holidays were.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you were able to see the lessons in all of it and come out stronger both, in the physical with your new washer or dishwasher and furnace. Is that right? But then also like come out stronger emotionally too. That's amazing.
Yes. Well, and it's not only with myself, but when we talk about integration, so I feel that it's been because, one of my daughters has been having a spiritual awakening. We're all in different stages of our journey, and we
Yeah.
all have a sense of awareness. So it's really navigating where we are, and for myself, navigating where I am, and really integrating that with my family. Because I know many of us that are watching understand that our family can be in a very different place. Most of us are. The people
Mhm.
around us are not walking through the exact same journey as us, or maybe don't understand what we're working on within us. And even though we can try to explain it, it may be something that's not understood, even if they wanted to, because we're just in different places. So this really felt good coming into the new year because I felt like a lot of the challenges that we've been through as a family, that we're really working together as a team more than ever.
Yeah.
And that was really, really good. That was a real absolute gift in all of this.
So what do you do? How do you, because I'm like thinking I had definitely had challenges over winter break as well, but I don't know if I went as internal with you as you did for the answers. Like, I feel like I got caught up in the physical with everything, and then the spiritual just kind of fell flat. So,
Hmm.
what did you do to not get caught up in all of that and still be able to stay grounded and understand the
Practice,
physical lessons? Practice.
practice, because this point, and even me saying this, has taken many years. Right. So we think about the start of my journey. So when I say the start, I mean the awareness that yes,
Yeah.
something's happening. Um, that of course started within me and started to expand out to my family members over, a course of time. But um, there would be, and I want to say this as, over this last year, we'll just give an example. There were times where I would get caught up in the story of what was happening,
Hmm.
and I would catch myself, but sometimes the reaction would come out and I'd stop afterwards and go, wait a minute. So, especially when we become engaged with others that are coming from a completely different place and outside of my family, even like extended family, that I found that I was being more observant with others. So in my own immediate family, that's where it got a little loosey goosey at times. So coming into this holiday season, um, I would say that it's really because I've been internally working on it for some time, but I had to let go of, and this came before this holiday, had to let go of the responsibility, meaning I can't take on the reaction of my kids. I can't take on the reaction of my husband. I can't take on
Mm.
the reaction of my parents. Like they are individuals, but I've been practicing a great deal with being able to understand where they're coming from by spending time and going through, like for my kids, why are these behaviors present? Why are they there? And rather looking at it as I wish this would stop, or I don't know how to deal with it anymore. It's been a continuous, well, where did it come from? Because that's what I had to do with myself in my own family. Looking at, well, why am I like this? Where did that come
Hmm.
from? And not in a way of blaming other people or blaming situations or anything else like that, but really understanding as human beings, looking at every individual as a human being and not as a judgment. And that's really what it comes down to, is that I'm not going to judge the situation. I'm not going to judge the person. And I'm not going to judge myself, because our
Mm.
critical eye comes truly, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, it comes from judgment of ourselves. and expectations of ourselves that we placed. And when we, and I read this somewhere just a few weeks ago, that we have a tendency of putting up emotional, oh, what do we call them? Putting up glass walls of expectation around everything. And it's like jumping through
Yeah.
hoops that we didn't know existed. And we set those up for other people when we're not aware. And when other people don't
Yes.
meet those expectations, or they're not giving back what we feel we put in, then we
Or
start
when
to
we're not
hold
meeting
on
those
to.
expectations.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's really being aware of what's being projected. Why is it being projected?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this person's reaction coming at me? Because my intention is not that. Like, it's really, that's where a lot of communication issues come up, because as much as, and for myself, as much as I'm intuitive and my kids have a hard time maybe lying to me at times, because I maybe don't know the answer of what's going on, but I can feel. And I can tell when the
Mm-hmm.
lie is present. I can tell when the truth is not being given to me. And so, I have to be careful with that, because I don't want to take that and take away the experience of other family members in my house, because that can come off as I'm walking like I know everything. And what does that create? That creates a sense of my children feeling like they can't do anything right, or they don't know anything, or
Mm-hmm.
they're not confident in their own feelings and decisions. So it's been a real buildup. So as I'm saying this about this holiday, it's that continuous practice. And this is why practicing with understanding ourselves, really getting to the depth of our beliefs, is an important thing to do throughout the year. Because when things happen, when holidays come about, when we gather with groups of people, when we're on a break and our kids are home all the time, things come up in your face. And when you have been able to go down that path of really looking within yourself, really understanding
Mm-hmm.
yourself, it becomes easier. As your vibration rises, you expand, it becomes easier to really see the connection that we have with
Mm-hmm.
everyone. It becomes very easy to see when I can see love within myself, when I can see love within myself, and when I can feel love within myself. It's very easy to see that with other people. It's much easier to have patience. But it's also really important to have boundaries and discernment, and to know when something is not okay. But we still don't have to take it on. And that is practice. Just like with our mediumship and everything, we have to be able to understand it and be with it and walk through it and practice it to get better at it. And that's really what it is. So that's why I said I felt very proud and very grateful, because I feel like all of that work,
Mm-hmm.
of really being with myself and understanding myself, and also being okay with, this is maybe how I feel today, but maybe my beliefs will change,
Mm-hmm.
because they do. And the only thing that never changes is our ability to change. That's really it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's my answer.
Wow. Oh my gosh, there is definitely so much to digest there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that's true. I do think that this winter break I um noticed some changes with how my family supports each other and helps each other, and how we deal with conflict. So I think we're growing, and I'm
yeah,
noticing it a
yeah,
little bit, but I still feel
yeah,
like, yeah, I get caught up in just the chaos of it all,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. And it's not
so,
really a walk of perfection, right? It really
yeah.
isn't, because this is what we're here for, the adversity within relationships. Because really everything is about relationships. Everything
Mhm.
is about relationships, the relationship with ourselves, the relationship with our partners or significant others, with our family, with our friends, with our jobs, with the relationship with what we feel our identity is, like who we think we are, like everything is about relationships. So when we are able to really deconstruct the relationships to a point of being able to say, okay, this is how I feel about this. This is what I like about this. This is, what I feel I would like to see change. But we also have to remember that putting change on other people's, like putting change on, say, if I were to say to my husband, um, I need you to change this behavior so that I can change how I feel. So I feel different. That doesn't work.
Right.
So when we put a condition on somebody else as they need to do this for us to change, that just will never work. That will be a perpetual cycle of frustration because that's not how it happens. Change has to come from within the self. So unconditional love is saying, I'm okay with the fact that I'm frustrated with this situation, with this, whatever it is. What my husband is
Mm-hmm.
packing the dishwasher backwards. Actually, it's me that does that. But anyway, my husband is packing the dishwasher backwards, and um, it really frustrates me, and I hate when I have to unload it, how everything I look at it and it's not washed properly. I need
Mm-hmm.
him to change that. Well, how about I look at that and say, well, right now, I know that he's doing something. His acts of service or acts of love come through acts of service in doing these things for me. So I'm going to appreciate the act that he did it. He did it to help. And I'm going to look at myself at the frustration that I feel because I'm projecting frustration on something that he is doing. And so I need to
Well,
go back inside myself and say, okay, I can be okay with being frustrated and then work on why is that issue such a problem for me, because it's probably coming from somewhere else. Does that make sense?
yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like what you're saying before. You're letting the love flow. Like you're not putting up those walls of the glass walls of expectations, and you're letting his. That's I just posted that on my Instagram.
Did you?
You have to be willing to receive the love that you are given. If you put those glass walls of
Yes.
expectation up, then you're not going to receive that love. You're going to be frustrated about it. It's not the right way or it's not this. But when you can
That's
let the
right.
judgment go and just receive, yeah.
I thought about something. I was watching a movie over the holidays, and um, there was this one part in the movie. I can't even remember what movie it was, but there was one part in the movie that they were talking about love and relationships, and the girl was saying, this is the way I always dreamed love to be because I watched all those movies. And I thought about that, and I thought about myself in my own relationships, and I had a very romanticized view of what love was. So
Mm-hmm.
growing up, I saw love as being courted, as flowers and kindness and romance and all of those types of things. And it seems almost kind of primitive the way I look at it now. Not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but for myself, I thought, wow, that's a belief that I adopted as a very young child. That this is what love is. This is what relationships look like. So I had looked through other relationships and thought to myself, I felt a sense of rejection when somebody didn't provide me with those same types of acts or those same behaviors. And yet I was maybe being given love in so many other different kinds of ways, but I wouldn't allow myself to receive it because I had built an unconscious expectation of what I thought love should be. And you see, that's not something that really we walk around with this explanation of what we believe love is and everything. It grows through us based on what we
Mm-hmm.
see and feel in the relationships that we have. So we build these ideas within us. And we forget too that other people, or I had forgotten, that other people think very differently than I do. Right? So we have to remember that because we see things one way, because we believe things one way, there are so many different ways of being and receiving. So it was kind of like this little thought that came into me while I was watching this movie, and I thought it was so interesting because my belief about love at 18 years old or 19 years old is so different today, because love is so much more expansive, and love comes in so many different forms. But the one
Yeah.
thing I didn't do was I looked for love coming from somebody else. I didn't work on love coming from within me. And so that's why I wasn't able to recognize it in other ways, because I wasn't recognizing it within myself. So I was just pushing it away when it would show up for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Loving yourself first is
Mhm.
so important. And it's funny, there are like, because you pointed to such like outwardly signs of love, like flowers and whatnot, gifts. And but it's like when you have self-love, it really is more internal, which is, I feel, the way you're valuing or, viewing the love that you have now. And I guess you can do self-love externally, like you have self-care days and things like
Of
that. But
course. Yes.
but
Yes.
but it is such a internal belief and view of yourself, which is, and
Yes.
it's funny you said, and I think I do struggle with like you're saying, like knowing that other people view things differently than you. But I'm almost like so acutely aware that other people view things differently than me that I almost disregard my own views. Like I don't hold space
Yes.
for myself and my
Yeah.
views. And um, yeah, I just don't hold it. And I think about I had a partner that told me I needed to stomp on the ground and grow my root chakras. And I think about that, how I need to stimulate my root chakra so that to hold space for myself.
Hmm.
And I feel like that, and holding space for myself, self-care, all
Yeah.
of that. I got a flare up of perioral dermatitis over winter break,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I kind of had to go within as far as like why it flared up. And of course it was Christmas, so I'm sure Christmas, but you talk about too like the like invisible walls of expectation. Well, I was so stressed before Christmas, and everybody's like, why? I'm like, I'm not traveling, I don't have family coming into town, I'm not hosting anything. We have people over on Christmas Day, but it's not like, it's very casual.
Yeah.
I wear my
Yeah.
Christmas PJs all day.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the majority of my Christmas shopping was done. But why was I so stressed? And it's because I had these invisible walls. I'm like, I have to make sure that my Christmas is perfect for my family and my kids. And you know what I mean? And I just didn't care about myself or my needs. But those invisible walls like really didn't let the love flow. And
Hmm.
created this, which is what I've been dealing with all winter break. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a process. Um, you know, when you were just saying about, like, how do I get through these moments of honoring myself? Because I know just what you're saying, being so acutely aware and being so acutely aware of what other people are feeling and the needs of others. So,
Hmm.
for me, for myself, because I understand that very much, and I think my development, um, long before I even understood what the word empath meant or anything else like that, my development of that came from being very sensitive and going through experiences through school and with bullying, with um, being in that fight or flight feeling, like being in that having to protect myself. And I would really practice every day without realizing it, what's going on, what's happening, what are the needs, like trying to jump in and take care of things so that I was protecting myself and making sure no one was mad at me. No one was angry with me. I was being the best person, best friend, best student, best kid, daughter that I could possibly be, so that
Mm-hmm.
no one had a reason to find fault in me.
Mm-hmm.
And what was happening was it was me that was criticizing myself. And so I'm paying attention to everything on the outside, every little subtle anything. And if I thought I could jump in and save it, I would. And I did that right up until having cancer. I did that in my own family. I stood and mediated family members, like wanted to step in and family members are unhappy with each other. Well, I'm going to make it okay. I'm going to talk to each of them, even though I was exhausted doing it. And I'm taking all the, you know, in the middle, but I'm going to make everything work. I'm going to make everything happen. And taking on that role was disregarding myself all the time. And like I talk about the cookies, right? I've told this story before about accepting the
Oh,
oatmeal
yeah.
raisin cookies when I didn't like them and I really wanted chocolate chip. So I took the oatmeal cookies for like years and years and years. But that's a perfect example of the things that we do, whether it's on a small scale or on a big scale, as being empaths, as people pleasing. And how do we honor ourselves? Well, that truly does come from being willing, like taking that awareness and being willing to really look at what is important to us. And there are some days, even now, where I get up and say, what are my priorities today? What are the things that need to happen for me to function best? And then if a curveball comes in and changes that around, like we have a power outage and everything's out in the house and I'm not able to do my sessions, or I'm not, like something that comes up, my priorities might kind of shift in what I need, but I still am in touch with myself. What do I need? Because I know that by taking care of those things within myself, it's going to be better to get through everything else that comes towards me. But when there's a lot of stuff going on, when there's a lot of chaos going on, there are some times where and I don't know if sacrifice is the best word, but there are some times where we do sacrifice a need in a way because it is good for all, right? So there are times where I'm trying to think of an example, like um, if we're always sacrificing our needs all the time, then that's different. But it's finding this balance. Like if the majority, like say you have a group of people and you're trying to decide what toppings to get on your pizza, right? Well, obviously, if you have an allergy, you're going to make sure that you speak up and say, well, I'm allergic to this, rather than saying, well, I just won't have any. I just won't have
Yeah.
any, right? Because that would be, and I mean, use that applicable to any kind of situation. I just won't go. Or no, you
I
guys
know.
do
And
this.
if you
I'll
are
stand
saying
back.
that, yeah, that makes me so sad because I know there's people that say that,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you have to speak up for yourself. And it's so funny, or not so funny, but coincidentally, the one thing she told me, my partner who did the body scan and told me to do the root chakra, she was saying I really needed to do self-care. And she said, you know what self-care is? Sometimes self-care comes as a sacrifice of someone else and sacrifice of someone else. And so it's like, you're right. Sometimes you do have to put yourself first. And okay, so-and-so that really liked, I don't know, peppers. Well, I'm allergic to them. So sorry, pepper
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Or,
That's right.
you're going to do that.
And that next step would be, well, if Pepper Person started to complain and moan or got all upset, not taking on that. So can we hold the awareness of knowing whether someone's verbalizing it or not? Can we hold the awareness to know that somebody is upset with us or annoyed with us because of something that is important to us and our needs? Can we still exist with them, with knowing this and not taking it on or not trying to fix it? Because it comes down to when we express our needs, and it's very important to put our needs forward, especially like I'm allergic to peppers. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go into some kind of shock or, have a swollen mouth because you have to have peppers, or I'm not going to skip dinner because you have to have peppers, right? But if that person decides that they want to give the silent treatment, or we know that they're not happy with us, we have to be okay with them having their feelings. That's their right. We
Well,
also
and
have
you
to
said,
know that it's not about us.
yes, and you said something earlier that you were like, we've moved beyond, or I'm feeling like I'm healing because you're like, I'm recognizing that they're having these emotions and I'm not holding these emotions. And I feel like when you said that, you were talking about like, yes, if someone's aggravated, you're not holding that nervousness that, oh my gosh, so and
Yes.
so's aggravated with me. You're just
Yes.
releasing and letting go and saying,
Yes.
well, you're holding space for
And
yourself. And
that's right. And like when we talk about this with our own children, when we're talking about this in our own family, because it's a little different dynamic when we are, um, in our day-to-day contact with the outside world or with extended family. It becomes a different situation when it's actually in our own camp. It's right in our own home and with our children, because we're walking this line of discernment between not taking on and doing for our children, allowing our children to feel, express, to be, but then where does guidance step in? Like, how do we guide through that and honor ourselves? And that's again where sacrifice comes in. Well, sometimes we do sacrifice to guide them through something, and that's part of being the parent too.
so I have to tell you about my morning, and this is
Okay.
why I've just completely failed for taking care of myself. So I feel like over this winter break, they say everyone has an invisible string that's connected to one another. I feel like our string has shortened between me and my family. So this morning, I get up early before everyone else, take the dog out, and I'm like, oh, everyone's still sleeping. I'm going to go downstairs and journal and connect and me time, self care, all the things we're talking about. Literally 2 minutes later, one child comes in. 2 minutes after that, the next child comes in. 1 minute after that, the dog comes in with his little piggy that he wants me to throw for him. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's barking at me if I don't throw it. And the other one's lighting my candles and playing with my crystals. And the other one's sitting in my lap. And then 5 minutes later, my husband comes in with his coffee.
Yeah.
So, I just, I love
But in
that though.
yes,
But I
yes.
needed to, and I didn't. I let them all hang out and,
But is that a fail though? Is that a fail? Because I don't feel that is a fail, and I'll tell you why. Because in that moment, okay, so you didn't get the time that you had wanted for yourself, that you had that moment. So it's important that you make that time and express that time. So the next time that it happens, express. So, hey, like next time, mom just needs a half an hour, or mom just needs an hour, and kind of laying that groundwork. And that's part of also practicing with flow, because yeah, you did have that time, but that was what became the priority. And truly, our relationships with, like, our number one job is the relationships and the family, the what we are doing in our day-to-day life. That is our spiritual walk. So expressing our needs would be putting that in, like, I'm going to set the intention that I'm going to take the first hour in my morning, and this is what it's going to be, and then I'm going to let everybody know that in whatever way that works, because that doesn't always work easily for everybody. But I'm going to let everybody know that, so that when that time comes, if that doesn't get honored, then I can say, hey, do you remember, I just need 45 minutes, I just need a half an hour. And that's not always easy to do. And I'll tell you, in my own household, I at this point it's better because I have my own space. But when I first started, I did not have my own space. I had a bedroom, a laundry room. I was, having to shut doors, hang signs, doing whatever I needed to do just to give myself a little bit of space. And sometimes
Mhm.
that meant hopping in my truck and going for a drive down to the park and sitting there for an hour if I really needed it and couldn't get it. So it's like,
That's
what is
nice.
non-negotiable for you? And it doesn't mean, like, flow means it may not work out in the moment. that I have set it for, but I know it's still something that I need. So I'm going to set the intention to create that. And that's where we can also connect with our angels, our guides. Help me, help me, help my family, help me be able to create some space today where I have an hour to meditate alone.
Okay. That's
Right.
so
And
funny. So
we will
then,
have that.
that my partner said that I needed to write down. It's so funny that you said that our spirit family is so willing to help us. Our angels are so willing to help us. Everybody's so willing to help us. We just have to write down what we need help with. And she was like, "You have a long list of things you need help with." I'm like, "I do. Okay, I do." And so write them down. So that's what I did, and I think those were some of the things, like, help me find time to
Yes. Yes.
meditate. Help me find time for me. Help me find
Yeah.
um, what did I say? Yeah, help me stay in creative flow. Help me to
Yes.
heal others. So hopefully they'll
Yeah.
help me with that.
My biggest thing has been delegation. That's really what I've been working on is delegation. Like, um, there's certain things that I wouldn't let other people in the household do because I felt like like laundry, right? It's like, no, I like to do the laundry because I held on to that one for a long time because I was like, no, I'm very specific about it. And I'm very specific with how I do colors and all those things. And it would start to pile up, and I'm like, okay, like I have this whole system where I'm like running laundry before a session and throwing it in and trying to get it done. But we've got a big family and a lot of laundry that's
Yeah.
going through all the time. So eventually, it was coming to my attention from my guides that, Michelle, you really need to let some of these things go and be okay with if a shirt comes out with a different colored sock or something. Like you need to be okay with that stuff and let them learn because you're taking away their ability to feel like they're capable of doing it. And I'm like, that's true because we have to really look at where our control or where our ego steps in and says, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take on all these things. And sometimes the things that we need help with, it's not that we don't want other people to help us with it. It's easier for us to do it. Sometimes it can be more complication trying to explain it to somebody else. So that's something that I've really worked on. And I'm proud to say that other people help me with laundry now and with cooking, with all kinds of things that I had taken on all on my own. And um, even with like role reversals, like with my husband, having him do some of the things that society would think that no, the husband needs to be this way, needs to be going out and doing this and doing that, and then the female has more domesticated chores. That's like a very old, archaic system, but it exists in many households. Now, if it works in a household, then awesome. If that's the way it works and everybody's happy, then there is nothing wrong with that. But if you're in a household where, you know, the roles are reversed or different people do different things, it's learning to work together in whoever is in whatever place, and sacrifices need to be made by everybody. But my goodness, I have seen more than ever that my kids have shown me where my ego is more than I have ever seen. They do reflect that back to me and really show me where I need to let go of
Yeah.
things. Yeah. So that's all part of all of this. Our ego is all tied up in it, and ego is not a bad thing. It's just something that we need to transcend, that we need to have it so it is working with us, not against us.
Yes. And I feel like we're out of time, but I think the ego is such a good topic and something that we really should discuss because
Yeah.
I think it puts up so many unneeded obstacles in our way when we are kind of bound to our ego. And
Yeah.
I was talking about the ego with a friend this week, and it's kind of come up a lot. And it kind of even had nuances in this too, with just the flow, letting flow happen. So I would love to talk about that with you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll have a part 2. I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we should do a part 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, here we are, 2024. I hope that, actually, I don't hope, I know that this year is better than ever. And I hope for each and every one of us, whatever it is that we are working through, may we do it with so much love and compassion for ourselves so that we can continue to spread that out to all those around us. Because that really is the inside job, is what helps the rest of the world. It always comes from inside. So I wish love and compassion for each and every one of you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle. And Happy New Year, everyone. It's so good to be back.
Happy New Year, everybody.
And see your comments. Yes. And I hope everyone had a wonderful, restful break in New Year.
Yes, absolutely. All right. We will see you guys next Monday. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.